welcome to another episode of Nerd Age. This is the show where we discuss everything nerdy. My name is Mick, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts, Josh.
What's up?
Corey.
Yo.
And Jonah.
Kenobi!
On three, guys. 1, 2, 3. Kenobi!
I don't know what we're saying.
Welcome to the show, guys. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the Kenobi show. Just aired its last episode last week. And so we'll do an overview of the last episode, but mainly the whole show altogether. So spoilers for the Kenobi show. So let's get into it. What do you guys think of the last episode?
Best episode of the series. I thought it was awesome. I mean, we're gonna end up, I think, going over the same. Like if I say what I like and then Josh says what he likes and Corey and Mick, I think we're gonna basically cover the same things.
Yeah.
So I just think they really landed it well. I had a few nitpicks about things that I would have preferred they didn't do, but it was, I mean, the most important thing, which was the Vader Kenobi duel
Clash.
battle, that kind of thing, I think was the most important thing for them to get right. And I think they did extremely well. I teared up a couple times with some of the things they did. I just thought it was epic. And again, not to go back to this, but the first confrontation and the background, even just adding the spires in the back or the shot where they're clashing at the sabers and you see like the planet in the background, just made it feel more epic. So I just think...
Yeah, they were setting you up.
Yeah, I think you could have done both to look a certain way. But for me, I think everything hit well that was supposed to. And like I said, the emotional moments in the show were really good.
Yeah, I think as far as the Vader, Anakin, Obi-Wan stuff, to me, they, I think, did just about as good a job as I was hoping. Again, like you said, minor nitpicks. I missed that, there was no like Duel of the Fates, that type of stuff. But, you can't have everything. But what they gave us,
We can't?
Can we? We should call them. Tell them to give us everything. No, but the stuff between the two of them was the best, definitely the best thing in the finale, and that's what I was here for, and I was pretty happy with it. So,
I think I was generally like really happy with that. That episode redeemed the series for me. I think it brought it up like a lot, just because of that one episode. Yeah. It was also weighted a lot heavier because of what we got to see in that episode. And so I can forgive and forget about some other stuff with prior episodes. So, I was overall very happy with this episode. And, obviously, there's some stuff that I wish they would have done a lot better. But as far as going back, having those flashbacks, the thing at the end, there's a lot of really cool emotional things that they did, which I think would have been like emphasized a lot better if they had better music, because that's like a big thing. But they did better in the music. They did better. It's so funny because then you'll see like these fan cuts of better music, basically like any other better song, like what's the Something of Heroes? What's that song?
Battle of Heroes.
Battle of Heroes. I saw a supercut of that. I saw Duel of Fates. It just is so sick, and it's like so much more epic. But the stuff that Obi-Wan did was incredible. Yeah. And so that was cool because it's like, okay, like that was the pinnacle. Like I think that was the pinnacle of Obi-Wan, like his power. And it was just crazy to see like how like dominating he got at the end. Like that was crazy that was because he was inspired by, his love for, Leia and that, being defensive for them and being inspired in that way. And also trying to, he's reaching the Force again. Yeah. So it was really cool to see that moment represented in the power instead of like saying, I'm more powerful now. Like instead they showed it with like all these rocks and there's, just, it was sick. So I think they showed really well in this episode. But I was really pleased with it.
Just to jump in real quick on the music. So I'm the same. I agree. I wish there would have been more music in those moments. We did get Leia's theme. We got the Force theme, and we got the Imperial March.
Yeah.
But I think so. I want it because I've seen those fan cuts as well, and I'm like, oh, that's really awesome. But at the same time, I'm kind of torn a little bit because I feel like John Williams basically has said that Indiana Jones is probably his last movie that he's going to do. So John Williams is never going to come back. So you do have to kind of create new music. So I think that's what they're trying to do. I think is like get composers to do their own thing. But I'm torn with it because I do want people to be like, well, we are going to have to move on. But I do feel like with Obi-Wan and Vader, it was like a perfect opportunity to use that song to tie in their relationship and what we've seen before. And the thing that was a little confusing to me is if they wouldn't have used it in the marketing, I wouldn't have, but they used it in that first trailer. They dropped Duel of the Fates mixed with Battle of Heroes.
Oh, yeah.
So to me, it's like, why did you do that?
Yeah, they set an expectation, which is unfortunate.
That's the only thing that I'm like, well, you kind of are asking for it when you do that. If you wouldn't have done that, I don't think there would have been such an outcry for it as much. But the fact that we heard it in the trailer, it was like, oh my gosh, are we going to get that? So I don't know. To me, it
was a little false advertisement.
I don't think it would have, like, even if they didn't do that, I don't think it would have changed the lack of like passion behind it, because I think that those songs bring a lot of passion. It's not just those songs, it's what they do, right? They're bringing horns, they're bringing violins, and they're bringing strings, and it's like this very like dramatic and epic sounding score. And the ones that they're showing us earlier, it's just really like mute, like very like neutral, like not super like passionate in my opinion.
Yeah, I think
I'm a sucker for the horns, dude, and like the violins, man. Dude,
I think
they evoke so much emotion.
The best original music from this composer who did Loki was when Tala dies. I thought that was
yes, we talked about that.
That was the music that kind of hit me the best. Like, oh, that was really good, and there was emotion to it.
I wish it was more like that.
If I go back to that fight, I'm not like, if I'm thinking about that fight, I'm thinking about the dialogue and not necessarily the music. So yeah, I agree with that. Choop, go ahead. What do you got?
Yeah,
what
sorry.
you got to say?
I thought about the music. I thought the music they used in that last scene I thought it was good. I thought some of the better stuff, but I think the problem is you're comparing that to Duel of the Fates and Battle of Heroes, which are some of like the most epic songs ever. So I think it's like
because it's the same IP and it's the same story, like characters. I mean,
no. Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's the detriment.
Right, and I think it's a disservice to it's unfortunate for the composer to be hey, you're up against the GOAT. Get out of here, Hans Zimmer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. And that's probably what he said.
Hans Zimmer did Star Wars. That's what she said when they said you're up against a goat. She's like,
okay, nice try.
Turn that in.
Nice try.
That was way above your head. You didn't
very well done.
Yeah, because it was a bad joke.
That's the goat joke.
That's really bad.
I'm the goat joke.
But other than that,
you are a joke.
Yeah, I like that.
I got you. So you weren't concerned about that. Everything else was done really well.
If I would have loved to have Battle Heroes, and that's a minor nitpick for me from this episode. Is like, it would have been cool if you did that.
Sorry, keep going. Sorry.
But other than that, like, I think the music was good. But I think, like I said, we're comparing it to some awesome epic pieces of music. So it's unfortunate. And I don't know. It would nice to get an inside answer of why. Like, I'd like to hear, like, what's your reasoning? Like,
do like a fusion or do like a new spin on it.
Just even just like just a little bit at the end. Like, you can even like quote it a little bit,
like with a piccolo.
Yeah.
Ooh, man, chills.
Wow. Yeah, that was great.
What a missed opportunity.
Goosebumps.
Yeah. You got
Goosebumps.
You all feeling it? Yeah.
Yeah. I can tell you like Hans Zimmer.
Dang, dog. Yo.
I love Hans Zimmer too, but I like Troll and Jonah.
Yeah.
But everything else in the episode, I think I really needed these last two episodes to kind of stick the landing, and I think they really did. Yeah. So they did a really good job of wrapping up the storylines. All the stuff between, I mean, we're going to say this over and over again. The stuff between Vader and Obi-Wan was awesome. Obi-Wan was, Ewan McGregor's acting has been awesome the whole series, but just even the subtle things he does, like that one scene where he's like, he's illuminated in blue. And just the way they shot that was awesome, where he's like, and then you slowly see the change of like, he's like, no, I killed him. Mm-hmm. And then he gets illuminated in red. And just like that kind of stuff was super well done. his delivery of I'm sorry about it. I'm sorry for everything,
For all of it,
for
yeah.
all of it. Yeah, it's like not just hey, I failed you as a teacher, but I kind of also messed you up. Just like everything that happened to him, he's sorry about it, and he just delivered that so well. And seeing Hayden, his delivery, the stuff that they did with mixing the voices was awesome too.
Super cool.
Just really cool execution, which I think probably we've complained a little bit about execution in the show, but I think they really nailed that last battle. It had stakes. The fighting was awesome. Like seeing Vader roll those rocks into his legs, like
Yeah.
it was super, just like really creative. Really creative choreography. I thought it was really good.
Can I ask you guys a question? So that scene you're talking about with Anakin, so Obi-Wan's just cut his helmet off, and then Obi-Wan kind of has a change of heart, which was really cool. Like at first he's like, "I'll do what I must," right? And then in that moment when he actually sees Anakin, that's where he kind of loses it. Like he realizes who he's fighting, right? So that part was amazing. But there's a part, like what you're saying, where Anakin's even illuminated with the blue, right? And he says the line, I am not your failure, right? So I've seen multiple people say this. Like if you go back and watch it, he's illuminated in blue at that point, right? And he says the beginning part of that, right? I am not your failure. And then as he says, you did not kill Anakin Skywalker, right? He's like, I did, right? And then it gets red. So here's my question. Do you guys think that first part of that line is actually Anakin? So he's still battling, right? There's still a pull, but then Vader comes. It's kind of like Jekyll and Hyde. So that first part of that line, because it's kind of interesting if it's that way. The reason I kind of like that is that it feels like Anakin giving Obi-Wan kind of like
Some peace.
Yeah. And then Vader comes out, right? That rage comes out. But then there's even a shot as the red ignites, like gets over his face, and it's fully Vader. If you look in this eye, you can still see a glimmer of Obi-Wan's blue. So it's kind of like playing this idea that even though Vader is in control right now, there's still just a little bit of the light side in there. I thought that was really cool how they did that. But what do you guys think? That dialogue, is that just completely Vader being like doing that? Or do you think there's a little bit of Anakin being like, I'm not your failure, as a mercy to Obi-Wan?
I think you could definitely see it both ways. I think they kind of leave it open for interpretation, because you could see it that way, or you could also see it that Vader's just bragging.
Yeah.
That like, no, he gets the credit for killing Anakin. So I think either way, I think works really well. I think when you kind of pair it with the colors that they're using with the lightsaber, though, I think it gives a little more lenience towards, the Anakin part. And that is kind of cool to imagine that. And I would probably lean more towards that way. But
yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, when we were talking about it in the live reaction, it felt like the way it was worded was intended as almost like an olive leaf, like kind of like a branch, like, hey, but then the takeover basically. But I mean, he always has, and he always does struggle with the dark side, even through the very end, right? And so, I mean, that's just part of it. So, yeah, I think the symbolism's there, and I think it's just for interpretation. But I would choose to because at that point he was desperate and he was kind of defeated and enraged, and so I don't know. It felt like there was like this weird like clearness to his line.
Yeah,
and so that's where I would feel more inclined to be kind of from the same idea of Jackal versus Hyde, but like for that instant.
Yeah, for me there's kind of like,
it felt like that way because it was such a clean and like almost nice line. Like it was almost like he was doing him a favor.
Yeah, and then like it turns. Yeah,
yeah.
But the other thing too that I guess I'm a sucker for that, like to want it to be that way.
Yeah.
But I think there's something really beautiful about Obi-Wan's reaction. Ewan McGregor in that moment, his acting like was so good, and I think for me, even like as my interpretation is, Anakin sees that. Anakin sees like the genuine remorse, and that's what triggers Anakin to kind of come out, like the light side to kind of come out, right? When Ewan McGregor says, "I'm sorry," like Anakin, I'm sorry for all of it. Like that triggers a little bit of light side from Anakin, and then it's extinguished by the rage of the dark side. That's kind of how I read it.
I would also agree with that even more because of how they kept doing that swap back into the back, that fight and that teacher, student dynamic. And it felt like it just carried through how they interacted with each other still. Especially because at the end he was showing a sign of mercy, like he was giving him mercy at the end. So, and that's it mirrored exactly what happened in that flashback. Right. So, yeah, I don't know. It feels like that. Yeah.
Well, and it's also almost like beat for beat how it happened in Rebels, right? Because there was kind of a moment where it was like Anakin talking to Ahsoka. Yeah, and it was like, and then you saw Vader take over. Right. But what do you think, Josh?
I think it's a stupid idea. I'm just kidding.
Hans Zimmer came up with it.
No, I think it makes sense. Especially if we're presenting Vader as the person that's still struggling with, like, Anakin's in there somewhere.
You can
and he's
tell.
going to bury it deep for the next couple movies. And then towards the end of, at the end of Empire and into Return of the Jedi, that's when Luke kind of reawakens that those feelings in him.
Well, yeah, with those interactions with him and the Emperor, you can just see it's so cool because like you wouldn't think you could body act very well with a mask on that doesn't show any feelings, but you see the delay in his answers, and the Emperor can tell, right?
Yeah.
Like. We know by the end of it.
You good, Vader? You good, bro?
Yeah, basically. He's like, no, Obi-Wan, kill him, But, like, it's cool to see him, like, they're showing that struggle just through, like, little lines and just kind of, like, bated breath a little bit. And it's just, like, it's cool how they can do that. And it obviously, I think the Emperor has always known.
Yeah.
And, obviously because of his plans later. But, I think that's just really cool how they kind of just convey that doubt in him without saying it. Just straight up.
And I feel like we do this every episode, but if you have not seen Rebels, Mick brought it up. There's something that they do with Ahsoka and Vader in Rebels that to me really enhances these moments of Vader. So if you haven't seen Rebels, I highly recommend you kind of watch it. It's 4 seasons. It goes by really quick, but they have some of the best Star Wars moments, and there's some Obi-Wan stuff in there too. So I would just, before we keep going, watch Rebels. It's going to enhance what's coming in the Ahsoka show. And so if you're a Star Wars fan and you haven't watched it, even though it's a cartoon, there's some of the best Star Wars storytelling in that show. So I would suggest you guys, highly recommend you guys watching it. Moving on with Obi-Wan, the other great scene that I really liked, and I think we all agree.
No.
If you
don't assume.
Go ahead.
But his reuniting with Leia when he goes to Alderaan, and then the line that he gives about, where he's like, you asked me if I knew your parents. And that line was just beautiful when he says, these are gifts that came from your mother. These are gifts that came from your father. To me, that was almost better than the Vader line with him. To me, it was right up there. Like I couldn't choose what moment I loved more. And since that, I think I've rewatched just those scenes probably like 20 times each, just being like, oh, I want to watch that again. Like, just because they're so good. To me, that's the kind of stuff that makes these shows worthwhile and those moments. And I thought those were done beautifully, but what did you guys think?
Yeah, no, I think maybe I'm just a sucker, but it's like, that scene is just like, the whole show could have been crap and they could have given me that scene. I'd be like, nah, that's worth it. Totally worth it.
8.2.
Yeah. So,
they're all threes.
So I'm clearly a sucker, but I think that's what this show did really well, is that they delivered on the promise of Vader, and then it was like a bonus. Like, oh, cool, we get all these
bonus
this backstory with Leia and Obi-Wan, and we get these awesome lines that Obi-Wan delivers to her about Padme. Padme gets some respect finally that she doesn't really get really anywhere else. It's finally like, oh, okay, we're giving Padme her due. And that scene was awesome. Pairing it with Leia's theme, and then into the Force theme was super awesome. But yeah, I agree that moment was, I agree with you, pretty high up there, like really close to the same moments we got with Vader.
That's a big reason why I have such a hard time when they talk about, we want to get away from the Skywalkers. And it's like, okay, that's fine. Yeah. But like, I love the storytelling of family. I do enjoy that.
Yeah, that's why we love
He's Fast a big Fast and Furious fan, baby.
Family.
It's all about family. But in Star Wars, it's so awesome. And I love how they do it. You know, it's just so cool to see that interaction. And that really, speaks to me, and, I'm affected by it pretty easily. And so, yeah, obviously that scene was amazing and really good. And I love it because they have so much stuff to work off of. And so they're kind of just like using all these other moments that we've already seen. And it's like they're giving more meaning to it through these lines. They're really cool.
Well, that's the crazy thing, is because we've grown up watching this story, right? Like that, as a little kid, my favorite movies were the Star Wars on VHS, right? So I'd watch those over and over again. Prequels come out. I'm at the perfect age for me to love the prequels. Yeah. I still like the sequels, which is, I know some people don't, but to me, I just think I have kind of the same reaction. People go, oh, I've had enough of the Skywalkers. I'm like, I haven't. Like, you can give me other stuff as well, but there's still something about, like, I like when they add stuff to the characters we've known for so long. It just feels like this is the longest story I've known, right? Because I grew up watching this stuff. So, and the fact that I'm getting more and more of it, and stuff that I never expected to get. Like, I never expected to get a little Leia, like meeting Obi-Wan. Like, and I think it was done to a point that actually enhances. I know this is controversial for some people because there's people on both sides, but I think this show enhances episode 4. Like, even the aspect where, if you go back and watch it, Obi-Wan, before he dies, the last thing he sees is Luke and Leia together. Yeah. Right? And then that's where he becomes okay with letting Vader kill him, because he's like, I've done my job, they're finally together. Like, that to me is enhanced by this show. When we can go back and forth on the aspect of, if her message makes sense. But if I look at it that way of, like, she's given on behalf of her father, but then she asks personally the plea. But then later on in the Death Star, when Luke comes in, he's like, my name's Luke Skywalker. I'm here with Ben Kenobi. And she's like, Ben Kenobi? He's here? And, like, that's like, I can now see that as she knows who he is. She's excited to see him. And she, that to me is like, it's just enhanced. Yeah. And I may be, like Josh says, a sucker. I am a sucker for Star Wars. And I'll give a pass to things, and I'll try to, like, make it work in my mind, right? But to me, there's just something about the story that keeps progressing and giving me things that I never thought I wanted. But then I'm like, wow, this was really good. Yeah. So I'm okay with give me more Skywalker. I'm good.
I think talking about, like, that moment, like, as bookends. So he has that moment when he's in the ground and thinking about Luke and Leia is what gives him hope to continue. Yeah. And then seeing them together at the end of episode 4 is what gives them, like, the resolution to let go and become a Force ghost. So it's like kind of like perfect bookends to the story, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I would say besides Obi-Wan and Vader, my favorite, like, interactions in the show was with Obi-Wan and Leia. Yeah. They just did such a good job at, portraying that, Obi-Wan knew a lot and he just didn't want to tell her, and then finally tells her just enough at the end. And I just think that the two actors just did a very good job at those emotional scenes. But yeah, I think that I agree with you. I think it does definitely enhance episode 4. And talking about the message, I think that if they didn't have that line of, like, we need to keep it on the DL.
Keep it secret, keep it safe.
The message makes total sense. Yeah. And that's all they needed to do, was just, reference it in some way. And I'm glad that they did. But yeah, the message makes sense now. Everything I think it does just enhance it that much more, where when I watch episode 4 again, I'm going to be thinking, wow, Leia does know who this guy is. They did have a connection at some point. she had to keep it secret for everyone's safety, and it just makes the story that much cooler.
Well, they've even done. I just think even her. If you go into the sequels, her naming her son Ben is now a lot cooler. But they've even done things now with like Leia's lightsaber looks very similar to Obi-Wan's lightsaber, and so that's kind of a cool thing. Like, was it done on purpose? Did they know they were going to do this?
Planned the whole time.
But to me,
the one thing they planned.
to me, that's
That's actually the first story that George Lucas wrote.
That to me though is cool. That kind of stuff. In my mind, I can make those connections, and maybe no one else does. But for me, it enhances the story, and that I only care about myself. I could care less if it enhances it for you or you or you, right? As long as it enhances it for me,
bro.
That's what's all important.
I mean, that's a very Sith way to think.
Ah, jeez. Selfish.
Here's a question for you guys. What did you guys think of what they did with Reva? That's one of my nitpicks. I kind of wish they would have had Owen kill her, like in that moment where she's about to slice him, if like she gets shot. And
that is one thing I liked about that kind of finale with them was that, first of all, I'm glad that they gave Beru something to do. I feel like she
didn't go out like a chump.
Yeah, she'd just been kind of pushed aside in the prequels, and we didn't see either of them that much in episode 4. But I'm glad that they had the initiative to protect their home and everything. But for me, the stuff that like really didn't like hit very well was when Obi-Wan comes back and he basically says, yeah, Luke just needs to be a boy, and goes away. And then that's when Owen opens up to him. I thought that there should have been something there that like maybe like something that Obi-Wan did to prove to Owen that he was like worthy to meet Luke or something. Like it just felt like there was just some kind of mind change that he was okay with him meeting Luke. I don't know if I missed something, but
I think it was probably just his realization that this is dangerous. Like Reva coming after him. Even Beru is like, he's like, oh, Obi-Wan's not around. And Beru's like, yeah, whose fault is that, Owen? You're the one that chased him off, basically. Yeah. So I think it's probably that realization that it's like, hey, Obi-Wan's really not that bad to have around, kind of a thing.
But still has that kind of disdain for him.
Yeah, he's still kind of like,
it's like, you're not going to do like a complete 180 on somebody.
No, and I don't think there should be. I just think like for that specific change of like, hey, you should meet Luke, I feel like there should have been something at least more like concrete that happened. But maybe it was like you were saying, just the realization that, hey, this Ben guy is actually kind of important.
Well, and he saw him packing up his cave, so he knew he was on his
moving
way
on.
out.
I do like that it is a reluctant, like his delivery is super reluctant.
Like,
He's
oh
like,
yeah, no, I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I think Joel Edgerton was perfect.
So I think he did a good job. It's not like he was like, hey, Obi, get over here.
Yeah.
Let's meet the kid.
Frown upside down.
Yeah.
Meet this kid.
Yeah, I think Uncle Owen was good. I think his delivery on a lot of stuff was pretty good, and I like what they did with him. It makes sense why it was that way, though, because he is supposed to be standoffish. He's not really supposed to be involved in his life, and so for the story's sake, it makes sense why it's kind of like, yeah, get over here. Let's have him over for dinner. Yeah. Goodbye, guys.
And you have to.
Makes sense.
You have to have a moment where they meet, but you can't have them have a moment where they've known each other, because in episode 4, he's kind of like,
crazy old Ben.
so he knows who he is, but he doesn't, so I think
he knows
for me it really worked. So it was just like, hey, remember when that weird guy gave me the
and said hello there?
Said hello there.
So for me it worked. But you guys didn't answer my Reva question. Did you guys?
Yeah, he went off the rails. He went off the rails.
I mean, kind of.
What did you guys like how it ended with Reva? Would you guys rather her die? What did you guys think?
So I think for me, originally that was one of my nitpicks too. I was like, have Owen shoot her in the head, or
like
Obi-Wan kill her, But
a womp rat.
I actually think what they did with her was it tied the story together well, and I think she did a really good job, kind of showing that thing of like, yeah, you've become Vader at this time. That you're doing the exact same thing that he did to you, so you're perpetuating that violence on other people. And so having her stop and do that, I was kind of like, eh. But I will say it does give us the opportunity to do something that we rarely do in Star Wars, and it's to have someone atone for what they've done. Every person that turns from the dark side is like, I'm good now. Peace out. I'm out of here. You know what I mean? And I wish they would have done that with Kylo Ren, is like make him good, make him atone for what he's done. So I think there's they're mentioning making a Reva show. If they can work that in to actually have her, like maybe she joins up with Roken and is part of the path now, and she's now protecting Force-sensitive children, basically going back on everything that she's been doing her entire life for vengeance. I think that would be an interesting story aspect. So that's the one reason where
I think that's what they're going to do with her.
So I'm like, that makes it a little more interesting than just like, oh, I'm good now. Like we can actually follow a character along this path of like, I've done terrible things, but now I'm trying to change that. That's the only thing that makes it better. I mean, if I would have had it my way, they would have killed her, like I said. But I do like that they've left that door open. Whether or not they do it, who knows?
I think that's the only reason why I'm really excited for that, is just because we haven't seen that before. And she did get better as a character for me, basically those last 2 episodes. So yeah, I don't have a problem with her kind of doing a 180, or maybe not even a 180, but just slight turn to, be something different than Vader or what she was as an Inquisitor. So yeah, I'm not too fussed about it.
Yeah, I mean, she was obviously one of the weakest points in the story for me. Almost felt like useless in a way. Obviously, there were reasons for her to do stuff, and obviously, the way they ended it was good. Like it actually kind of redeemed it a little bit. I don't think it redeemed it to a point where I'm like, I love Reva, she's so cool. No. I really didn't like the character very much, and so, but that was something that we talked about in our live reaction, is that they did a really good job at representing stuff. That kind of realization, oh my gosh, she's about to kill herself. Like as a kid, she sees herself. Okay, she's seeing herself as Anakin. Oh my gosh, like that realization. So that was really well done. And the fact that she threw away her lightsaber or whatever, dug a hole or whatever.
I think she just tossed it.
She just tossed it.
How many lightsabers on Tatooine on that Lars?
Yeah.
Lars Homestead.
But it redeemed it to like an acceptable level for me. It was not a highlight. But the ending was a highlight. I think how they did that was good. It was all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the Qui-Gon cameo?
So this falls under two camps for me: a nitpick and very happy. Happy, of course, that we got to see him. That was great. I just, in terms of like, I think for a more interesting story would be for him to show up before Obi-Wan and Vader fight, just because I think it would have been cool to hear what Qui-Gon had to say about Anakin at the state he was
He's
at.
like, wait, you did what with that kid?
Yeah, I trusted you.
I thought he was going to show up in the rocks when he's down there. Qui-Gon's like,
get up.
you're in a tight spot there. Me too.
So that's kind of my nitpick about it. But yeah, of course, it was cool that we got to see him. After everything that happened up until that point, I was like, wow, they really aren't going to show us.
That's what I was saying.
I was like, wow, what a waste. Like, they had such a good opportunity. And
Kathleen Kennedy has ruined Star Wars.
My childhood is dead.
The way that last scene was framed, I knew it was coming.
Yeah. So I'm very glad we got to see him, and I don't know, maybe they'll do more with that. I have no idea, but it would just be cool to just hear that dialogue of just what he thinks about Anakin. So that's really what my hope was, that we got to hear that from, just a conversation between them. But still glad he showed up.
Do you guys want a season 2 of Obi-Wan?
No. I just don't know. Like, I think if they save Vader for a season 2, then absolutely. Like if Reva and the Inquisitors were kind of the antagonists for first season, and then save Vader for second, absolutely. Now it's like, I don't know where you go
what
from,
you just
from
wanted.
Vader. Huh?
What you just asked for.
More Vader in season 2?
No. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon.
Just hanging around.
Just hanging around.
No,
you
but
burned the
there's
food.
stuff like they do comics where Black Chrysanthemum comes to Tatooine.
But that's what
and
I'm
he has
saying,
to-
like-
so I'm like, would you want that? Whereas Qui-Gon basically Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, like Qui-Gon's training Obi-Wan, and still you could do flashbacks to Anakin, to Vader, to that kind of stuff with Obi-Wan and him teaching.
He doesn't have
stuff.
a back to tank in his cave, so we know that's not possible.
Yeah, but Force
Can't have a
visions,
flashback
because
without a back
Qui-Gon
to
can let him see Force visions.
I don't think so. I think just like narratively and just a way a good story is told, to me, it just, I mean, they could do it and it could be amazing, but I'm just thinking just a season 2 without Vader, like it just seems weird to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I would be fine if this was it for Obi-Wan.
See, Doug?
Oh yeah, I'm more the party of like if they continued on with him, it would start to take away. Because I think what they did is they finished it really well. I think it was a very meaningful ending with Darth Vader. So it's like if you did a season 2, you'd either have to avoid Darth Vader entirely, which feels weird.
Yeah.
Because his story is so intrinsically tied into Darth Vader that it's hard to like write a story without. It's kind of weird. Like even in Rebels, like he has Darth Maul as a tie-in, so it's like you could play around with Darth Maul maybe, but I don't know. It'd feel weird, and it would feel like it would cheapen, I guess, what they did at the end. So if you could sell me on a really cool like idea, but I can't think of anything that would work really well, so I'm kind of against it.
So I think season 2, what happens, Obi-Wan picks up some shifts at the bar.
Yeah.
So it just turns into like a Cheers show. And it's just him and Qui-Gon working in the bar.
Everybody knows your name.
That might be interesting.
Or maybe Yoda stops by,
Yeah, you never
oh wait, dang it.
Yeah, I don't.
In real life.
I think right now I'm fine with where they left it. I agree with making what Corey are saying is that it's like, I don't know what else we need. And if it's a season 2, it has to stay on Tatooine. It seems weird that he would just be like, all right, now I travel
dip out
around.
again.
Layla got captured again.
Yeah, so he's just gonna. Yeah, so I don't know if I want that. If they came up with something interesting, like, like I said, I'm a sucker. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I need it. I do have a theory, so I'm gonna use a sitcom theory here. We
Cheers.
got it was a series end, right? But we can see him in cameos because we got the same shot where he's like cleaned out his cave and he looked around like the sitcoms do. And then he like turned off the light.
Yeah.
And then it was over. But then that same character can show up in another, crossover episode.
True.
So if they do like a Path episode with Obi-Wan where they're getting his help, I might be into that.
Sure. I accept that. Yeah, I'm with that.
Well,
you can do that.
Here's a question that might give some validity to him at least going off planet, because at the end it seems like he's at least is what he says, he's more willing to like just let Luke be Luke and do his thing. Do you think he's kind of changed his mission in a way where he's not so focused on, I need to be here and protect Luke and watch over him, and I need to train him when he's ready?
I think he still wants to watch over him, but not be so overbearing. But I think he doesn't want to train him anymore. Like he's like before he was like, when he comes of age, we got to train him right away.
Yeah.
But it seems like he's kind of like, maybe not, but who knows?
Yeah, I think it's just like what Josh says. He's not so like overzealous about he needs to be trained.
He's not hanging out in the backyard.
I think part of it is also because he's met Leia and he kind of knows that even maybe she's got a better chance of just by like where she's at. Right, because she doesn't work. She
talks like a 25-year-old.
She's with Bail Organa, so she's involved in politics. They even do the whole thing of like,
this other kid's playing with starships, just with his goggles on, and the other girl who's the same exact age is talking about the Senate and
He's like hallucinating.
and she talks about
and these very
leading,
wise
like
things.
leading.
Yeah, she's way more mature.
I think that's kind of like the thing. Like, I don't have to worry so much about this because there's another Skywalker kind of thing. But I just think just because he's like moving away or going to his actual house he has in episode 4 doesn't mean that he's not still, because
he's still stopping by.
Because you need to, in Rebels, which takes place later, he's focused and he's like honed in. Like even Sam Witwer has talked about this. Like Maul,
the voice actor
goes
of
up,
Obi-Wan.
of Darth
Or
Maul.
Darth Maul, that's right.
He goes in and he's talked about how Dave Filoni was like, this is a like Maul thinks it's the same old Jedi, and then he realizes like, no, this is like the best trained Obi-Wan he's ever met. And he's got a mission. And so I think that's kind of like he's going to be prepped by Qui-Gon to learn stuff from Qui-Gon. So by the time
that's the
Maul
intent.
comes along, it's like he is way beyond anything we've ever seen Obi-Wan be because he's more in tune with the Force. So that's where I think I would say no to a season 2, but I kind of think that would be cool to see that aspect of it. We haven't gotten the Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan. I think that would be kind of
nothing's
interesting.
strong enough to do better than the first season. Like, what else would be strong enough
It
to
doesn't
compete
have to
with
be
that?
strong enough.
So you're just going to let it peter off and die and be weak?
No, but I still think there are some amazing moments you could have. If we're talking about amazing moments, that this series had 2 amazing moments that for a lot of us was like, man, even if the show sucked, those moments were fantastic. I think you could have similar moments in season 2 that would be like, that was worth seeing in a season 2. And I think we've talked about movies versus shows. I think you can get away with doing a show, 6 episodes of a show to show some things you want to explore with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan that you don't have to spend $200 million to put a movie in. There's not as much risk. So I think you could do something like that.
But then you spend your whole time complaining that it's not a movie.
You're not getting any of my money. I'm putting my money towards his appearances. I like that.
Obi-Wan,
I like that. That respects him a lot
I
more.
do say this, though. I think this show would have worked better as a movie. Even after watching it, I think you could have had this in a 2.5 to 3 hour movie, and it would have been better.
Yep.
On this side of the show, I would say yes. I would agree.
Yeah.
Especially for Reva, I think she would have benefited a lot more from a movie.
You don't have to make those
standpoint.
dumb little story beats, and you can have the more big, meaningful decisions and story beats, and it would make her a lot more meaningful, and it would help her a lot.
Yeah.
And with Obi-Wan, it'd be so slick. It'd be so great. I think the only one who would suffer would probably be
Josh.
Yeah, Josh.
Yeah.
No, maybe like the Inquisitor stuff. Maybe some of the secondary Inquisitor stuff. Maybe
Hello there.
maybe some of the Leia stuff. Maybe a little bit of like the little run around and like those things.
but that was stuff we didn't like.
And the Haja stuff, maybe a little bit would suffer a little bit because he didn't have much. Oh, what was the age? Who's the lady who died?
Tala.
Tala. She would still be included though. I just
Wouldn't be as good.
I didn't get to talk to you guys about this, but the whole going to the base and that whole sequence. The more I watch that and go back to it,
Inquisitorius.
the more I don't like that. And so I wish that they kind of cut some of that out
It wasn't
or changed
done.
it. The choreography was
I don't think it was
whack.
necessary.
It was whack too.
And that's why I think in a movie,
she's like,
you could-
slap in your helmet that's supposed to protect your head.
the stormtrooper was
Bonk,
like,
you're out.
Okay, guys. All
Hey,
right.
that was
They do that in every Star Wars.
I know,
movie.
but it's
Bad in every
stupid.
Star Wars.
Yeah, it doesn't make it right.
No matter where they
It
do
doesn't
it.
make it right.
Like those are things I'm like, it's.
That made sense
there was-
back then in the
I know, but
70s, 60s.
there was one guy that was
Helmet
like,
technology in the 70s wasn't as good.
I was watching a video where
is
it's one
now.
guy, and he's like, look at all these complaints. Like he's just showing all these complaints to people. Like, oh, that was so dumb. He's like, He's like, you do realize, it's a show for 12-year-olds, and he's like, we're a bunch of 40-year-olds complaining about how it's like makes sense for kids.
That's such a it's such a weak excuse though.
no, but I'm saying throughout the whole series, stormtroopers have always been terrible, and it's a joke.
That's like being like, don't you think it's so ridiculous how Superman can fly? We all know superheroes can't fly. It's
But I'm saying
yeah, we know,
I'm not
it's
saying
fiction.
us, but I'm saying the people that are angry,
oh, sure.
That to me is
I get that.
the response to that is like, I don't have a problem joking around about it because whatever, But it's the people that are like, you're ruining my childhood, and getting all angry. It's dude.
I'm just saying it was a weaker sequence.
Yes,
That's all. It just wasn't as. It should have been more fun or intense or interesting, but it just was kind of silly in my opinion.
And I think that's where
but
it
that's
benefits
where it
from
benefit.
a movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
You're a little quiet over there, Josh.
I don't know. What do I
Yeah, no,
what do
he
you
said
want me to say?
he's expressed before he likes the series.
I like the series.
I don't think it would have been better as a movie.
No. Because do I give up some Leia moments if it's a movie? Possibly.
Not really.
Maybe.
You,
I think you
give
give
up-
up.
You can't
You give
guarantee
up
that.
some
Can you
Haja
guarantee that to me?
moments? Yes.
Can you guarantee it?
because it's
No,
more
you
about
can't.
them. You give up some
you can't.
Haja moments. You give up.
You
some
can because it's
Reva-
not real.
You give up some Reva moments.
It's a hypothetical. Yeah. I mean, you cut out what's
You
his
probably
name?
cut out the whole fight scene at the end,
truck
guys.
guy. Yeah, sure.
We don't know that. All I know is what we have, and we're dealing in hypotheticals.
Fight scene.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was good. It was good though. I think that if I could just kind of if I was there and I could say a few things to the editing team, I would have just adjusted some of the fight sequences, some of the action scenes.
Yeah.
If they could have been more realistic and more interesting and more intense, and kept your interest instead of being kind of silly. Like the rooftop fight was really silly. And the angles that they shot were really weird. Like they just felt awkward. Like when the lizard man was up on the top, had his little rail gun, and Obi-Wan's like kind of hiding but not, and it's like they're really struggling, and I'm just like,
Half cover.
it's so goofy.
Disadvantage.
It's a disadvantage, yeah. But the thing is like Obi-Wan wasn't hitting the guy. He was behind no cover, and he was like missing a ton. No cover, dude. And there was a guy flanking from behind, so advantage.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, D&D talk.
I figured.
But there are moments in this episode, in this season that were just so great. Like him saving Leia from falling off the roof.
Not in the movie.
That was so sick. That would be in the movie.
In your hypothetical movie.
The whole like sequence of the rebels like being in that base and like trying to escape. Like that was really sick with Darth Vader.
Would have
Just
been in the movie.
Definitely on the cutting floor.
Everything with Darth Vader was just so fun. The only one was the weaker one was the fire scene, but that's about it. But man, everything else was so well done. It was awesome.
Yeah, give us a Vader series.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would.
Wait, we already have it. It's called the whole
No,
trilogies,
give me a Vader now
series.
Like after he's gotten beat
Right
by
after.
Obi-Wan, now he's going. Yeah, dude,
He's
there's so
going
many good
ham.
Stuff. You see, the Vader comics do such a good, awesome things.
Okay, go for
Yeah.
it. As long as it's a movie.
I'd take a Vader movie by far.
I would take Vader anything at this point. Vader's awesome. So do you guys want to go over our predictions, what we got
already
right,
have
what we
them
got
up.
wrong? And then we can
well,
score the show.
I'm just gonna say,
Mick won.
Mick won by a long shot.
Did Mick win?
Bringing up.
I love how he brings it up because he knows he won. He's like, maybe we should talk about that, guys.
I'll just say this: Mick wins because he's not afraid to. He doesn't take chances.
That's right.
Yeah, he's playing
You know, he
safe.
plays
That's how I live my whole life.
I know. So bringing up
I
the
don't think
rear, bringing up the rear is yours truly.
Oh.
You beat me for last?
6.
Really?
Tied in the rear with 6 is Josh. We got
What?
two
Phrasing.
rears.
Wow.
Corey in second place with 8 correct.
I thought I was getting last.
And Mick
It's like 20.
with the 10.
Oh, that was a lot
So
closer
I
than I
tied
thought.
with you?
Too. Yeah.
Wow, that's way closer than I thought it was
So,
going to be. Especially because you get negatives for being wrong. That was
we all said yes on Qui-Gon, Liam Neeson appearance, Ahsoka appearance. I lost. The Mick got the points there. Young Princess Leia, we all got points. R2, yeah, we all got points. C-3PO, Alderaan, Mick lost a point there.
I still
Coop
can't
and
believe
I
that.
got
Stupid.
Cody, that's where I started losing. Rex, that's where I started losing. Yoda, we all got a point there for not appearing. Palpatine, we all got a point there. Cal Kestis, we all got a point there for him not being there.
Did we all
Pat-
say that?
Yeah.
Wow.
We all said no. Padme, I got a point. Mick lost a point. Corey lost a point. Chube got a point. Younglings, Mick was there where he got a point, and we all lost a
nice.
point.
Yep.
How did I say?
Bail Organa, Corey and Josh missed it.
Because we said both, right?
Yeah, and Bria had to be there, and Mick and I got it. Cad Bane, that's
Wait,
where
what?
Choop and I lost another point.
We said it had to be Bale and his wife.
It had to be there?
Yeah.
Yeah, like together. Like we
They
had to see
were.
both of them. Yeah, but you
At
guys
the
said
end.
no.
Oh, we said no?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yes.
said yes.
And
So there's
then
multiple instances where they came up.
yeah, and then Mon Mothma, I lost the point there. Yeah, so
I
kind of
thought
lost it with the Rex and Cody and
a little
Cad
bit,
Bane.
yeah.
Which
Han
is
Solo.
still an asterisk, bro, by the way.
it's the same.
It
That's
could
what
have
I'm
been.
saying.
Could have been.
That's what I want to say. Like that
Could
guy
have
that was
been
there,
homeless.
and any one of those guys during Order 66
Because he knew.
could have been.
You could see the
Cody.
eyes. He could tell.
You never know.
It was
Yeah.
Obi-Wan. He had a little glitter in his eye. A little glitter.
So,
a little glitter
I
stuck
think-
in his eye.
Oh, this hurts.
So
Glimmer.
Corey won the last project. The Corey and Mick tied for the last one, and then Mick has won this one. So We'll see what happens next. Alderaan, maybe we'll do a prediction.
Alderaan? I mean, Andor?
Andor.
Alderaan.
Andor.
I'm going to predict
That's
that
gonna be a
Alderaan
short
is
series.
not going to be a show.
Or I guess Bad Batch 2, we could do something. But so what do you guys give your final score for the series?
So I'll say right after I saw the last episode, it was around a like 7.7. But the more I digest it and think about it, I would put it up to, I'm going to go an 8.4.
8.4.
8.4. The Vader and Obi-Wan stuff to me just...
Wow. Nice job,
in my
guys.
mind now, it's really overpowering everything that I saw. And for me, that's really boosting it for me.
Okay.
So 8.4.
Josh, what did you go for it?
I think I probably end at a high 8, so 8.8.
Wow.
Nice. It's good.
Nice.
Nice. Weird clapping. I think I put
Good
it.
score. Good score.
Yeah, I think it.
Good answer.
It's. If I judge I'm judging the whole series as
bro.
a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do yours. You do yours. I'm like so.
Hey,
I'm right on the edge.
There ain't no shame here, bro.
Ain't no shame.
Yes, there is.
You can do
There has
sevens.
been shame
You can
before.
do
Go ahead.
sevens.
You go first. I'm still deciding. Sorry. Oh, man, it's so hard.
If I go, I have to. There are episodes one episode I didn't like. For the most part, every other episode I liked. And I thought the last two were extremely good.
Now convert those likes into scores, bro.
And that's what I'm seeing. And then I'm looking at how excited I was every week to wait. I couldn't wait till Tuesday to watch the next one. So I'm going with a 8.9.
Whoa!
Wow. That's crazy.
I've given it a 9.2
That's
on our reaction, I think.
crazy. You did.
And so it's gone down a little, for the whole series. If
What
was
did
just
I?
doing the
What did I
episode-
put it at?
But I think we were just
8
doing
point
the
something?
episode. That
Oh,
episode.
true. That's true. If it's just the episode, yeah, it's in the 9s.
Yeah.
Like low mid 9s, yeah, for sure. I think I just have to average all of them. So I think that there were some like in the high 6s for me, and then some in like the medium 7s. But this episode was really high, like it was a 9 something. So I'd be okay with like putting it at. It's just, do I give it an 8? You know, that's what I'm struggling with, or do I throw it down to a 7.9? Because the music, in my opinion, is just so important to me, and I just feel like they just didn't really like hit it out of the park very well at all. It was kind of just weak throughout the whole series. I can't judge it off of the last episode because the last episode brings the overall average really high up, so that's good.
It's a great on a curve.
I think I give it just an 8 out of respect for my boy Obi-Wan. Because I love Obi-Wan. He is one of my favorites, and Ewan McGregor's amazing, and the actors did really good. The acting was so good. Just a couple weren't as great, but yeah, the acting and then some of the action scenes at the end were just super sick. And so it was a fun watch at the end. I really enjoyed the last 2 episodes. They were really great. So yeah, that was awesome. I saw on Rotten Tomatoes that it is not doing great. It was like, what was it, like in the 60s, 50s or 60s?
Yeah, but it also had people like review bomb it.
Oh, really?
Like, had bots go after it.
Yeah, it's also like isn't it like the most watched show on Disney Plus so far?
You can't, that's the thing.
What's Obi-Wan do?
Rotten Tomatoes for me now is like, it doesn't make, you can't, because like,
well, I take an informed decision between like the critics and then the other people. I didn't know there's bots.
The only one you can trust is the Nerd Age podcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is true.
If you want to know real critic reviews, check out the Nerd Age podcast.
Fair, and reasonable, unbiased.
Proven.
We don't
data
get paid
right
for
here.
this. We don't get
We
paid.
just do it for the.
That is true.
And we put.
We don't get paid.
When I go watch a Marvel movie, I put my agenda aside. I review it, and then I'll pick my agenda up later. But you're getting like non-biased Marvel.
Yeah.
Thor sucks.
Nice.
I think that'll do it, though, right? For the
I think so.
Obi-Wan discussion.
Yeah, overall, great show, great time. Love me some Star Wars.
Yeah, and let us know
We
what
all
you
do.
guys thought in the comments on our Facebook page or anywhere you can find us. Send us a message if you have any questions or want to discuss
us on the
something.
street.
Yeah, if you.
Hey, that's Corey from the Nerd Ache podcast.
I don't walk outside. Joke's on you guys.
Just go to his house. You know?
Knock on the window.
Knock on the door.
This is his address. But yeah, no, please drop a subscribe if you guys can on our YouTube. If you guys are there, that really helps us a lot. Yeah, I think that, well, you know, we might do another giveaway soon, so that might be great.
Oh, there we go.
But yeah, that's about it. Yeah. To Andor next, right?
That's right. Andor next.
Is that August?
August.
Yeah.
Hoorah!
Well, we got Andor's in August. Bad Batch 2's in August.
Oh, sick.
Is Tales of the Jedi, isn't that?
In the
is that?
fall, they said, so maybe
Oh, okay.
September.
Okay,
October.
so we might have a lot of Star Wars coming up here pretty soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then Mando towards the end. Yeah.
Awesome. It's going to be a great year.
All right.
Well, yeah. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you on the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
See ya.